All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are unpacking a fascinating and honestly super relatable case study. We're looking at Mary. She's a 66-year-old caller from Pittsburgh who recently reached out to the Ramsey Everyday Millionaires show in a state of absolute financial panic. We call this the late stage catch up. And really, Mary's situation is just a perfect real world example of what happens when the retirement clock is ticking, but, well, the bank account isn't quite keeping up.
I mean, just put yourself in her shoes for a second. Imagine you're 66 years old. You log into your retirement account expecting to see a lifetime of hard work. And this is the only number staring back at you. $10,000. For most folks approaching their late 60s, a five-figure balance like that, yeah, that's enough to trigger an instant heart-pounding panic attack. It's basically 2 years of emergency cash, and there is absolutely no way it's funding a 20-year retirement.
But here is where it gets kind of wild. The paradox of Mary's situation. The contrast is staggering. On one hand, you have a really strong combined household income of $125,000 a year. But on the other, total savings is literally just that $10,000 emergency fund, 10 grand in Mary's 401k, and absolute zero for her husband. Throw in the fact that they're renting for $1,900 a month and have zero pension to fall back on, you can totally see why Mary was panicking. On paper, they are way, way behind.
Now, get this. If you know personal finance expert Dave Ramsey, you'd probably expect him to go ballistic here, right? We're used to the urgent, aggressive, tough love. But his response to Mary? You'll be okay. Just incredibly calm. He completely pivoted from his usual shouting because actually he saw something in her financial picture that wasn't super obvious at first glance. He wasn't just being nice. He was looking at the math. And here's why he wasn't freaking out. They had a massive hidden advantage, $80,000. Over the last 5 years, Mary and her husband managed to grind out and clear 80 grand in car debt. They dug themselves out of a massive hole. So sure, that money is gone, but the discipline they built, and more importantly, that newly freed up monthly cash, that is right here, right now. So what does this actually mean? It means that by knocking out those monthly auto loan payments, they reclaimed serious cash flow. And that freed up cash flow is absolutely the foundation for catching up this late in the game. Look, without removing that debt, building a nest egg in your late 60s is basically impossible. But because they did the heavy lifting to kill those payments, they suddenly have this huge, powerful financial engine ready to just blast toward their future.
Okay, moving on to part one, the Social Security secret. To really understand Mary's secret weapon, we've got to talk about FRA, full retirement age. This is the exact age when you can collect your full Social Security benefit and keep working a salary job without facing any earnings test reductions. See, if you claim Social Security early while you're still working, the government actually holds back $1 in benefits for every $2 you earn over a certain limit. But the magic happens at FRA. That penalty, it completely vanishes.
And this brings us to Mary's incredibly lucky timing. She told Ramsey she plans to start working full-time in August, which just so happens to be the exact month she hits her full retirement age. This is brilliant. It means she can pull in a full-time salary plus grab her untouched Social Security check with zero clawbacks. Add in the 2026 cost of living adjustment of 2.8%, keeping pace with inflation, and you've got a powerhouse combo. For someone starting late, stacking a full salary with penalty-free Social Security is literally the single most powerful catch-up tool the system offers.
Which brings us to Section 2, the playbook, Dave Ramsey's strategy. Knowing they had this massive cash flow and income, Ramsey laid out some brilliantly straightforward marching orders. Step 1, save up a down payment to escape that vicious $1,900 a month rent cycle. Step 2, buy a very modest home or condo on a short 10 to 15-year fixed mortgage. As he told her, you might not be proud of it, but it is yours. And step 3, concurrently invest 15% of their household income into retirement accounts. The goal here is super clear. Secure a hard asset you'll own outright while aggressively pumping up your nest egg at the exact same time. Now, let's just address the elephant in the room, the current 15-year fixed mortgage reality. It isn't cheap right now. With the 10-year Treasury yield hovering around 4.6% and the Fed funds rate sitting at 3.75%, mortgages are pricey. No getting around it. But doing a short mortgage ensures the loan is entirely wiped out by the time Mary hits her early to mid-80s. that stops the endless cycle of rent hikes and turns their housing into an owned asset rather than a permanent drain on their cash.
The whole thing hinges on execution, though. It's a delicate balance. If they decide to skip funding their retirement just to pay off the house faster, they are going to end up house rich but cash poor at 76. Not good. But if they fund both at the same time, concurrently, it gives them the absolute best chance at long-term financial security. You literally cannot pause that 15% investment rate to rush the mortgage. Discipline is everything here.
All right, let's dive into the actual math in Section 3, the $350,000 projection. This leap right here shows you the sheer, undeniable power of disciplined saving. Starting at age 66 with just that $10,000, fast forward 10 years to age 76, they are looking at a potential nest egg of $350,000. Just by maintaining that 15% investment rate from their $125,000 income, they can take a totally terrifying bank balance and transform it into a legitimate, substantial safety net in a single decade. But hold up, we do need a quick reality check. It is absolutely vital to remember this is a projection. It is not a guarantee. This math assumes steady, unbroken contributions. It requires them to keep working. And crucially, it relies on equity-like market returns. You have to invest in actual retirement accounts. If you try to play it safe and park that money in CDs paying the national average of 1.7%, this entire math model collapses. You've got to put the money to work in the market to see that kind of growth. When Mary heard all this math broken down for her, she summed up the whole situation perfectly with just 2 words. There's hope. And honestly, that is the exact takeaway here. A financial turnaround isn't about wishful thinking. It's rooted in cold, hard arithmetic. By killing their debt to free up cash, playing the Social Security rules to their advantage, and sticking to a rigid plan, that hope is 100% mathematically justified. So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a thought. A late start definitely makes the challenge harder, for sure, but does it make it impossible? As Mary's story proves, absolutely not. Strategic planning, a few lifestyle tweaks, and unyielding discipline can rewrite your financial future, regardless of when you finally start. Let the math guide you, not the panic. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. Until next time, keep learning and keep planning.